Welcome to the Kabin. Today we're checking out some models from We Print Miniatures. Let's get to it. 3D printing has become a huge part of the wargaming hobby over the last decade or so. I love how it has allowed so many talented sculptors to showcase their work and transition from amateur to professional. Today, hobbyists are truly spoiled for choice, and the market for STL files is massive. However, not everyone can afford their own 3D printer or has the space for it. That's where companies like We Print Miniatures come in, taking care of the printing for you. Since I don't own a 3D printer, I was excited to collaborate with them. Let's check out the mystery box they sent us. The first miniature is Sergeant Eric in 55mm scale. It's sculpted by Andy and Jem from Print Minis and designed in a grimdark aesthetic inspired by Cadian shock troops. Next up we have Elisa Doe in 28mm scale by RN Studio. She can be used to represent a mage or sorceress in RPGs or tabletop wargames. And finally we have the Kung Fu Master in 32mm scale by Papsicles Miniatures. This one is clearly inspired by Kung Fury, an awesome Swedish short film from 2015. If you want to check out these models for yourself, please click the affiliate link that we have in the description down below. That way you can also save 10% off your purchase. Thank you to We Print Miniatures for supporting the Kabin. The cleanup process was super easy. All I had to do was remove a couple of supports and that's it. No assembly, no mold line removal, and no gap filling. This is so much quicker than working with plastic, resin, or metal. Now let's get these painted. I undercoated Sergeant Eric in black and then applied a few base colors inspired by the Cadian uniform. The goal wasn't to match everything exactly, but rather to take a few liberties with it, just like the sculpt has details that don't match the Cadian troopers. I then chose two lighter shades to layer on top of each base color. I was kind of rough with these highlights since I already decided to add a layer of grime on top of everything later. I also free-handed some chipping on the green armor panels. I grabbed two contrast paints and diluted each with a lot of contrast medium. These were used as filters in several coats to add realism to the face. The pink helped give some color to the lips, and the gray gave the impression of a 5 o'clock shadow on the cheeks. I then used a handful of colors to paint the eyes. At this stage, the miniature was almost done, but to achieve a grimdark aesthetic, I wanted to dirty everything down. So I added a few different enamel products from AK Interactive and let it dry for a few minutes. Then I took some cotton swabs and mineral spirits and wiped off most of the paint from the raised surfaces. After this, I added a couple of highlights for the metallic areas and glued on the Pine Forest ground cover from Geek Gaming Scenics on the base. With a dash of pigments and some tufts, Sergeant Eric was complete. It was a joy to paint a miniature in a larger scale than I'm used to and to make it look dirty and grimy. The sculpt was great to work with, and the print itself was crisp and clear. For Elisa Doe, I undercoated her in white since I wanted to go for bold, bright colors inspired by anime. I chose 5 different colors for the base coats, and since she's quite small in this 28mm scale, it was a quick process. After that, I chose darker colors and applied them to simulate shadows on each area. I did not attempt to blend these layers at all, as I was going for a cartoon look with clear separation between each color. I then highlighted each area in the same way with a brighter shade of the base color. To help further sell the look, I painted thin lines of pure black in between many of the sections of color, as well as the recesses. After applying some static grass and flowers to the base, the sorceress was complete. This was the smallest of the 3 miniatures, but the detail was still good. It was fun to go out of my comfort zone and paint in a style I'm not used to, but I think I can probably do a better job and experiment with the techniques the next time I try to paint something like this. Finally, let's look at the Kung Fu Master, which might be my favorite of the 3. I undercoated this miniature with gray and then chose 5 different colors to block out the base coats. I went for the look that Kung Fury has in the film, and looking at screenshots of the sequel, they used a stark red light from below in many of the scenes. I wanted to replicate this, so I used my airbrush to add white ink from below, followed by red ink in the same way. I think it worked pretty well. I really hope we get to see that sequel one day. It's been tied up in legal problems for years now. Anyway, I picked out 2 brighter shades of color for each area and layered on some zenithal highlights, making sure to keep these away from the red ink. That's the Kung Fu Master done, so the only thing left was to fix his base. I added some torn cork, which I stiffened with PVA glue. After that, I applied a texture paint on the top surface and sprayed everything black. I picked out a few gray paints for dry brushing and also added some surface markings for the road, followed by black pigments. The final touch was to apply the same white and red ink again, focusing on the torn area between the pieces of cork. This ties the miniature to the base, as it reveals where the red light is coming from. I think this was my favorite of the 3 miniatures, and I had a blast replicating the look of the film. Thanks again to WePrint Miniatures for sending us these, and remember to use our affiliate link in the description and pinned comment below to save 10% when you order from their store. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good luck with your miniatures.